This is Brownie's Podcast!
Hey, degenerates! Yeah.
I never thought I'd hear that song post-game. I know we hear it every week pre-game when the teams run out.
Kiss my fat ass, everyone.
How was it, Dino? You were there in the crowd yesterday afternoon at Marvel.
I couldn't believe it, man. Especially when there was 2 minutes to go. So, like, we were being respectful to the Doggies fans. Libba was just walking around as well because he wasn't playing.
Yeah, he wasn't playing.
I was being very respectful, and because we couldn't believe what was happening, and didn't believe it until Jezza thumped it right at the end and won the game. But Eagles beating Doggies has created a lot of chaos for the whole league.
Well, the AFL wouldn't be happy with it because it's limited. It's narrowed the field as to who's going to actually make finals. There's only 9 teams left now.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Adelaide would have been in it. I think there might have been one other team in it as well, but we're down to 9.
Harley Reid won't go to the Eagles now. He'll probably go to the great club North Melbourne.
Well, North Melbourne will get pick 1 and pick 2 now because Ben Mackay will leave. They'll get a compensation pick, and I think there's another youngster in the academy from Tassie.
Yeah.
The AFL will just make that happen. Just click their fingers and bang, all of a sudden new
The
rules.
Doggies, the last 2 weeks, have absolutely defecated all over the bed.
Oh,
Haven't they?
they've Amber Hearded.
They had. Well, they had
They
because
Amber Hearded it.
to go down and play the Hawks in Tassie's hard, but you would have thought they'd win, and you would have absolutely penciled in 4 points at
Brother,
Marvel
can you
Stadium.
just give my boys a bit of credit?
Yeah, no, they play well.
Thank you.
Tim Kelly is
Yes.
the best. I mean, he'll win their best and fairest.
Any danger Bevo could have put some work into him, though.
I know.
With a Bulldogs player that went within 10 metres of him.
Yep. Oscar Allen has been
He's a star.
unbelievable considering McGovern back and doing what he does.
That's
and
just cool.
He's a great player. You forget about how much of an impact McGovern has.
Jamie Cripps broke his ankle, hardly seen him, bobbed up, kicked 5. No, well done, Dino.
Dino, I've got a question.
Yeah.
Be honest with me.
Yeah.
Did you think that you were maybe tripping or hallucinating when you saw the scoreboard when the final siren rang?
I certainly did. I was carrying on like I was on shrooms. He was wild. He was crazy. But round 23 in general was nuts.
It was.
Hoskin Elliott's milestone game.
200th.
Did you see his cute little kid see all those flames and go, I'm not running towards
He
that?
shit himself. He didn't run out.
He's a smart kid. I'm
Yeah.
not running towards flames.
No.
No, little George Gawn as well. He was absolutely terrified running through the banner for Maxi's 200th. I don't know, it's cute taking your kids through the banner and you get the family photo. I don't reckon the kids like it. It scars them.
I've got a great photo of my 200th game against Essendon at Marvel Stadium.
Yeah.
And I had the great fortune of carrying my daughter Olivia through. I was old enough at the time. Liv was about, I'm going to say she was about 2.5 years old. And the Victorian cheer squads would get really excited when we come to town. They'd want to build this massive banner. So they'd really reinforce the bottom layer of the crepe paper.
Yep.
They reinforce it with double-sided taping, triple taping, if you want to call it that. Well, the problem was we went through the banner and the bottom part of the banner didn't break. And it nearly guillotined Olivia's head clean off. And there's a great shot of it where the sticky tape has her by the head, nearly cutting her head off as we're trying to get underneath the Brisbane Lions banner in mid-200th.
Pies Brisbane was great, but I'll tell you, if an opposition player removed a prison shank from their sock and fatally stabbed Ginnivan in the neck and he bled out, an umpire still would not give him a free kick. That's not fair.
It's fair enough.
That's not fair.
No, it's fair enough.
That kid's getting smashed and umpires just look the other way.
You make your bed, you lie in it, Dino. It's the old saying goes.
If you Amber Heard your bed, you're lying.
Yeah.
You must be happy with your boys, John.
Oh, well, I'm starting to believe. I'm believing.
Yes.
You know, I think previously I haven't.
Marvel Stadium's not the MCG,
No,
though.
it doesn't.
Dino.
Hey, that was
Good point, Doc.
That was the final big step in terms of the belief journey that I've been on for a long time. It's been going for about 5 years. I started to believe after that close loss, the narrow loss to Melbourne at the MCG.
You said it was as good as a win.
As good as a win. I've been on the record. We've survived some close wins the last few weeks, and then finally, you come to Melbourne as the favourite, and you get the job done.
Come on.
Lockie Neal was good.
Lockie Neal was back. Our big forwards, they play with presence now. They don't play like flankers. They play like big, strong, hungry key forwards that want to bash blokes. They want to smash blokes.
And
they
John-
want to yell out to blokes, say, if you stand in my hole, I'm going to put you into the middle of next week.
Hey.
And that's what I'm loving about it.
I dare you to stand in my hole.
So let's slow down.
I
Slow
dare
down,
you.
big fella.
Hey,
Fill my hole.
Fill it. I thought the Saints were a scam. I thought Saints were Bitcoin, but Ross the Boss, they're playing finals.
Yeah.
It's official.
Yeah, they're not Aka's Zoocoin or whatever he said. We've still never
Have we
received
still
it.
got have we got his zoo coin?
Yeah, we
Okay.
paid for it and we've got the paperwork, but it doesn't.
Nothing ever came.
How's it travelling? Is that
Brody
zoo
never
coin?
actually bought them, did you?
Well, the problem was, and again, for new listeners to the show, Aka released his own cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
And we were all on board. But then we kind of looked into it a little bit, and it didn't seem like the most legal type of operation of all time, nor the most official. You can't actually buy it anywhere. And he just said,
Right.
just transfer money into my account.
Yep.
Which I was like, that doesn't seem that
So we
honest.
did anyway.
Yeah.
It was about as above board as his golf game.
Bombers, what's going on?
What's going on?
That was one of the most weak, insipid, disgraceful performances that I've ever seen a side dish up. And I know
Wow.
the Eagles and the Suns and, put up some bad performances, but never 9th versus 10th with your season and finals on the line. They were
Worse than some of the shit that the Gold Coast
They were
Suns dished
listless.
up in your first couple of years.
Yeah, 100%. And I loved, when GWS set the tone,
Yes.
before the players had even run out, the supporters that made the banner set the tone.
What do you mean? What did it say?
It read, "It's been a long time. The Bombers have waited. Last time they won a final, we weren't even created." And I reckon from that moment, the Bombers were shot.
Hey, shout out to Jesse Hogan. That man has had a pretty rough life off field. He's been at 3 clubs.
Yeah, he has.
He kicked 9.
Yeah.
Yes, against Bombers.
Number 1 draft pick, I think he was.
Yeah.
Or certainly an early
No,
round pick. Was
he went in the mini draft, which was like a
Oh.
supplementary period where he went,
Ah,
I
yeah.
believe it picked 2 or
part
something,
of
the
the
same as
Suns
Jack
thing.
Martin and a few of those.
But if most people went through what he's been through off field, they'd
Yeah.
probably be pretty screwed.
I've got a piece of advice for him, though.
Yes.
Don't pass the ball
Yeah.
off when you're sitting on 9 goals.
Well, even
For
before
God's
that,
sakes.
even before that, JB, he passed the ball off a couple of times when he was 30 and 40 metres in front in the second and third quarter. He could have kicked 12 or 13 goals.
Could have kicked 12 or 13. I remember that day against Carlton when I kicked Dino. I
Yes.
don't often like to speak about it.
I know. You hate it.
But there was not a snowball's chance in hell that I was passing that ball off to some critter, my teammate, who was going to miss it.
Yeah, no,
Hey, I
fair
wanted
call.
all the glory.
The day I had 10 possessions was a great day as well.
Hey, human error is how our species will end, I'm sure of
Yes.
it, right? It's computers are more reliable.
Oh, no.
What? We all know that Adelaide thing was a disgrace. How does that happen?
We've got more umpires than ever before, okay, and umpiring, and not just field umpiring, but boundary umpiring and goal umpiring has never been worse. This is the second week in a row that there's been multiple errors, human errors. You got to go back to last Friday night. Jeremy Cameron, he got given the handball when he was clearly out of bounds, snapped a great goal.
Yes.
Boundary umpire, another one later in that game. Then there was the Carlton-Melbourne debacle.
Yes.
We not
Marchbank, questionable.
questionable. And then for a season to end like Adelaide did on the weekend when Ben Keys kicked one of the great goals of his career, and the best bit of vision that we actually have of the incident is from someone's phone
Yes.
in the cheer squad,
Yes.
which is definitive, right? The AFL need to get serious, spend some money on proper goal line technology, right, in every venue around the country.
Yes.
And it doesn't. This is $1 billion industry, JB. They can't keep pussyfooting around this issue and being half-assed around the goal umpire, the review,
It's a
the arc.
clear-cut case of pussyfooting.
I reckon it is, and it's cost Adelaide, and not just Adelaide, but it's had ramifications all the way down to 10th or 11th. It's cost them a chance of playing finals footy, and it is completely unacceptable.
Well, that's a clear case of the dog barking.
Oh, that's a...
by accident.
Settle, dog. Settle. Easy, boy. Heel, dog. Heel.
I got a bit more fired up than I thought I would just then.
Jeez, you put a leash on
Now,
it.
you
yeah, absolutely.
morons.
But
Hey, I'm not... Yes.
recourse.
What does that mean?
Well, it's where you do they have recourse? Do the Adelaide Crows have
A
recourse?
legal dispute?
A legal avenue.
No,
They don't.
Could we
No,
see
they
this
don't.
on the steps of the Supreme Court? An injunction, if you will.
No, there's a precedent for this. Remember when there's a Dockers game in Tassie and something happened with a siren and they took it to court? Do you remember that one?
They did too.
Yeah,
Nothing
that's
happened.
right. Siren Gate. Look,
Siren
human error. Human error will always happen,
Yeah.
and players and coaches and umpires. That's completely fine.
Yeah.
But they need to be better in big moments. They just have to. Umpires, all of them, need to be better. I did the Melbourne Hawthorn game yesterday.
Yeah.
Right? Jack Viney took the ball about 2 metres over the boundary line, right? It was clear cut. Everyone in the whole ground saw it except the boundary umpire that was 5 metres away, and it resulted in him getting paid holding the ball, and Dylan Moore went back, and actually it was deja vu nearly. He kicked it magnificently. The Hawks thought it was a goal. They start celebrating. It shaved the post.
Yeah.
And another error that nearly cost a goal in a really important part of the game.
Devil's advocate. It's not an easy game to umpire.
No, it's not.
There's got to be a little buffer.
Of course, but these aren't the ball going out by a couple of inches, right? These are metres out, and they still can't make the right call.
Yeah.
Field umpire can make it. I know boundary umpire's right there, but if you have any argument whatsoever, just make the right call.
Also,
I don't care who makes the decision, just get it right.
Also, Deja Vu.
Yes.
Very underrated movie with Denzel Washington.
Oh, one of the greats.
Don't you reckon?
Goes back in time and saves the girl, but by doing that, changes everything else that happens
It does
around
too,
it.
'cause it sort of comes up on the screen, doesn't
well,
it?
that's
Deja Vu.
That's what Denzel does.
He does too.
That's
Do
what
you
he gets
believe in
done.
deja vu? Because I
Absolutely.
don't.
Okay, fair enough. That's another story.
No, it happens though.
all right.
It doesn't happen to you.
This
Oh,
will be
it's
nice.
never happened to me.
Really?
Nah. When's it happened to you?
Well, I can't remember the last time.
Great
It's
chat,
happened to me.
boys.
Yeah, great chat.
Great deja vu
I
chat.
thought that was
glad
going
we stopped
somewhere.
for that.
Hey,
I'm
shut
glad.
up. Listen to me. Last
Jamie not remembering something was deja vu for me just then.
last podcast, you ridiculed me for saying the Suns might get Carlton. And for that whole game, it looked like they were cooked.
I did that game. 40 points up they were late in the first quarter. It was astonishing.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Blues were still on the deck chairs around the pool.
Yeah.
And the amount of free Gold Coast Suns players running forward was astonishing. Vossi would have been absolutely road bull. But
They'd have got
this
it done.
might come at a good time because this might be the wake-up call they need. Don't take anyone lightly because the Gold Coast Suns are a decent team. I think Damien Hardwick just came out this morning. He's going to be announced as the Gold Coast Suns coach, and he just said that 80% of the list will play in the next premiership. 80% of the premiership team is already on the list of the
How
Gold
good's
Coast
that?
Suns, so he's pretty emphatic about the talent there.
Charlie's defensive mark at the end. That was heroic.
His whole game was unbelievable, Joe, but you saw it live. He single-handedly, to my eye, just said, nah, I'm not going to cop this anymore. Halfway through the second quarter, he started to work up high because they weren't getting the ball inside 50. Started winning the ball in some contests on the wing. Then he started hitting the scoreboard.
It was amazing.
And you're right, they threw him down back in the last 90 seconds.
boy.
And he was unbelievable. 75 goals for the year. Back-to-back Coleman's coming off the knee injury. He missed all of 2020. I think he played 4 or 5 games in 21.
Yeah.
He's a freak, mate.
As you said, John, he Leo buried the shit out of that.
Leo buried the shit out of it. It was a great mark.
Yeah.
And he said post-game that they trained for it during the week. Obviously, Harry Mackay's come back in, so they've got the flexibility to, if you need to save the game, throw Charlie behind the ball. What a weapon to have. But I genuinely think he's 26 years old now, Charlie Curnow. His early part of his career was impacted by a knee injury. Mm-hmm. I genuinely think that Charlie has the capability to be in the same conversation as Buddy Franklin in terms of impact in the game over the next 5 years, starting with this final series.
Right.
I generally do. Like, he's a match winner, and I think
That's big.
he's got the same competitive hunger that Buddy was known for.
That's
and
big.
Buddy was underrated for. I think because now these great players, they come around once every blue moon, and they sense the moment in games, and they think, I need to be the one to stand up and do something special. And I feel like Charlie's got that same intangible quality that Buddy's had.
Right on.
Cometh the moment, cometh the man. They just love it. They embrace it.
And
most players shy away from
Yes.
it. I feel as if Charlie Curnow runs towards the fire, unlike Will Hoskin Elliott's son.
He's never played in a final either, Charlie Curnow.
No,
so
that's his
we've been
chance.
waiting for Carlton and him to come alive. I never thought that a player would kick 100 goals ever again after Buddy in 2008. That was against Carlton.
Yeah.
He's kicked 75 this year. There's a round to go. They play GWS, so he'll probably kick another 3 or 4. Let's say he finishes the year on 78. He doesn't need to improve too much next year, with Carlton being a better side, more opportunities, more inside 50s, to be knocking on the door maybe of that massive milestone.
Maybe they went deep into a final series.
Yeah, he might. Yeah, maybe not in the home and away season, but there you go. That's
Could you imagine trying to clear the Carlton crowd?
oh,
if Charlie Curnow kicked 100 in a final at the MCG.
Yeah.
It took half an hour to clear the crowd with Buddy's 1,000th goal. Mate, it'd take 2 hours
Is
to
that
clear
what's
the
the
Blues.
math? What's the math on that? So 1 home and away game left.
And plus, let's say, call it three
finals,
So
4
4 more
games.
20 goals.
20 goals. Mate, it's doable.
Imagine in the grand final. What is that?
Oh,
Jesus!
You couldn't
Be a
storm.
stampede,
You couldn't
be running
storm
of
the
the
ground
Bulls.
on grand final day, could you?
What? You couldn't.
You could.
Well, good luck stopping the crowd.
Dog, you're not stopping that.
Oh, jeez.
Just,
Also, welcome to the podcast, Cometh.
Yes.
we love coming.
Get in here.
Cometh!
Just a quick little story too from the Gold Coast Suns. The preparation. I got to the ground early. I took my daughter Olivia and her mate, and I said to the girls, "We'll go down there, level 2 at Heritage Bank Stadium, the Gold Coast Suns. How good's their corporate area?"
Very nice.
Then you go in there, and anyway, I said, "Girls, we want some food." They girls wanted some chips, and I thought I'm going to go for an old-fashioned pie. Yes. And I spotted the 4 and 20 stand.
Well done.
Obviously, I'm an ambassador for 4 and
Do you
20.
get free?
So.
Do you have a card?
Well,
Ollie?
I'm glad you asked me that because I went to the lady behind the jump and I said, "Can I have a 4 and 20 pie, please?"
Yes.
And she said, "Sure, I'll grab that for you." And she brought it out, and she then went to go to grab the little machine, the FPOS machine, and I said, "Don't I get these for free if my head's on the wrapper?" Which it was.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was.
What did she
absolutely.
say?
She didn't say. She goes, "No, that'll be $6.50." With not one hint of a smile.
Really?
Not one hint of a grin. Now,
Jonathan, tell me you did this one. The 3 circles around the face.
I'm glad you've led me that because I was just about to go there. I went with that. I went with 3 circles and it didn't work, Dino. And then she said, "Still $6.50." I'm not going to do the accent, but probably.
Thank you for that.
I think she was a German backpacker, just making some money over the weekend.
Sure.
So obviously, my name hasn't made it to Germany, Dino.
Yeah, no,
for some
I
of
know.
the exploits on the field.
Would never have happened down here in Melbourne, that.
Tell me who this commentator is.
Butters over his head.
Oh, that's the great Adam Papalia.
The great Adam Papalia.
He
Now,
works for Fox.
I love this.
He does the Perth commentary for us in the games over there. I think he's a fantastic and very accurate caller.
I rate him too, and I think I heard this because I'm a bit of a nerd, but he did a nod to Dennis Cometti. So listen to this.
Butters over his head towards goal, up and over the shoulder, like a buoyant object in a large body of water. Zach Butters.
Like a buoyant object.
He's paid tribute to
Yep.
the great Dennis
To the
Cometti.
great call, Peter Wilson, 92 grand final.
Wilson, like a cork in the ocean over his head.
He has repurposed it. He's
Yeah, man,
reworded it.
That's a nod to Dennis.
Dennis
Cometti.
would have
Yeah.
loved that.
Being a WA boy, he would have idolised Dennis growing up to be a commentator.
Yeah.
I didn't realise.
A buoyant
That-
object.
I didn't realise the origins of that were in the 92 grand final.
Peter Wilson over his head.
What
Dennis would have loved that.
Do you reckon Dennis sat on the plane? He obviously flew over from Perth for the grand final. He sat out there for 3 hours trying to come up with a good call that'll stand the test of time.
That's a great find from
Good
you.
get.
I feel as a commentator and special commentator, more boundary
hang on.
operator.
I can't believe he
Hang on.
keeps throwing himself into the commentary
That's the
bracket.
only reason he told the story before about Jack Ziebell being over the boundary was to mention that he actually was
Excuse me.
upgraded to the
Yes
AFL.
or no, is he a commentator? Yes or no?
Of the VFL.
There's certain words, right? There's certain words. I think Adam Papalia perfectly described that, right? That phrases and words you can no longer say, right? Delicious, special, right?
Yeah.
Cork in the ocean, centimetre perfect. You can't say them anymore because they've been copyrighted
Been
by
done.
Bruce McAvaney and Dennis Cometti.
What about Wowee?
Wow.
Yeah, I think that's immediately going. He's stealing that off Brian Taylor, So they're copyrighted, I think.
Yep.
And that's why Adam Papalia has gone with a rephrasing of a word. I don't mind
but
it.
I think it's a respectful nod to his hero. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
I think it's fantastic. In the early days when you would go and, when you were an up-and-coming commentator and you used to go and sit in the media box, not plugged into anything, but you used to practice. You used to roll out any sayings. You go, "Oh yeah, I think that'll stick." I might roll that out at the right time.
I never have, but I've taken a few girls home before I got married, and when they turned over and said, "centimetre perfect," I didn't know how to take it. I was a bit rattled. I don't know if it's a compliment.
Do you know, there needs to be a sin bin on this podcast. So you're like a
Mate,
2
that's a
minute,
yellow card.
a 2 minute
Yeah.
sin bin.
Like the
Just 2
like the
minutes.
NHL.
I knew when
correct.
she even put the voice on of Dennis Committee, I knew I was in a bit of trouble.
Finally, with this round, congrats to Jack Riewoldt and Koch. The last game on the G for them.
Yes.
They tried their hardest to get him a goal late too. He had
Koch?
3 shots in the last 5 minutes.
They
Missed them
tried
all.
with Jack Ziebell as well. They threw Jack Ziebell forward and he missed a long set shot.
Jack got a goal and took a specky. How good was that?
And got bashed all in the one day.
No, that's Ziebell. Hey, we're going to get to that because I was at that nightclub
What?
when that happened. We'll get to that later.
You
But
could be a witness. Ooh.
now, Riewoldt. The whole MCG hung around for their speeches. It was lovely. And then I really loved it when they were walking off and then you heard this blaring through the speakers.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That was really lovely.
That's a nice touch.
That's when I think he
It's one
started
of the
tearing
great
up.
memories, isn't it? Like, how many times will you sit back, the quiet scotch over the journey, and just late at night, I might just put that on.
There's nothing better.
Put the replay on.
Nothing better.
Nah, him and Brandon Flowers up on
Mate.
stage, Richmond jumper on, singing one of the great anthems of all
It's one of the
time.
most iconic grand final moments.
Yeah.
It actually didn't happen
Unbelievable.
during the game.
Yeah. And we've known Jack for a while through and over and
Yeah.
stuff. He's a ripper
He's a
dude.
good guy.
Koch, I've had more simulating chats with a carrot, but I'm joking.
I remember him and
Oh, don't be harsh on a carrot.
tough.
Not
Hey, with those two players, though, along with Dusty
Legends.
Nunn, you know, obviously in terms of playing, forget about Dimmer for a second, but the actual playing component of it, they're the three players that had the biggest impact on the turnaround of the Richmond Football Club.
Absolutely no doubt. And probably Alex Rance as well, you can throw in there, who was huge. But Dusty...
But he wasn't there for the whole time.
31 and 3. I know they played North. Mate, when he wants to, because I think it's a hunger thing for him now, he is still unbelievable. And he was showing his respect to his mates and
Yeah.
champions by putting on such a performance, I reckon.
I think Dusty's had as good, probably his second best season beyond his Brownlow year in terms of home and away season.
Yep.
Forget about the finals, and they won't play finals this year, but his season's been
good,
incredibly
hasn't
underrated.
And if Gordon Tallis is listening, he's the most famous sportsman in New Zealand. And back in a second. What a round.
This is Brownie's Podcast!
Welcome back to Brownie's podcast. Now, I'm told that the stat man is back.
It is. And this stat will blow the collective mind of the AFL nerd.
That's because you're the stat man.
Carlton, St Kilda and Melbourne all joined the VFL AFL in its inaugural season in 1897. Okay? However, this year, 2023, will be the first time that they've all played finals in the same season. So after 126 seasons, Carlton, St Kilda and Melbourne will play finals all together for the first time.
That's actually good.
That's big, mate.
Probably
That's
something
big.
to do with St Kilda being shit for a long, long time.
Okay. Hey, I was at the Osborne nightclub on Saturday
Yeah,
night.
fill us in.
The scene of the crime.
So they had a birthday party. It was their 5th birthday. I was invited. I took my mate Matt, and we were there. Remember Ivan from The Bachelor?
Yeah,
yeah,
He's a
big
dancer.
Mate, he was there.
Big
and I-
lanky guy.
he's a sweetheart.
Is he?
He might not be part of
he-
Mensa,
Was
but he is. He is
Was
a
he
sweet.
twerking, Dino?
Yeah, a lot of
He does
twerking.
that sort of mad twerk
Yeah.
dance.
So I was there at the Osborne. I saw Dane Swan there, a few others,
Oh, yeah.
and but I didn't know that's where all
Dusty?
the Ziebell
Was
shit.
Dusty there?
Not when because I left pretty early.
Dusty
actually.
was there, apparently.
So that's where Ziebell got bashed.
It is out the front, yeah. So after the game at the MCG, North Melbourne had a club function with his family and friends and all the other players, and then he made his way to the Osborne at some stage in the evening, and went out the front, and that's when he was attacked, unprovoked
Set
attack.
upon by Dean Thomas.
Yeah, man. I had a dispute. He tried to take my watermelon vape, and I was not having it. No, that's just
It's shit.
No,
Animals,
it's
it's shocking, and they'll get
He's
the
a
guys.
great bloke.
They'll get the
He's
guys.
an absolute beauty, Jack Ziebell.
3 of them.
So
it
is
would never have happened. I go there a lot. It would never happen on my watch.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Once the dog barks.
What a way to finish your last game, though.
Yeah, I know.
Last game, great
He's
celebration.
in
Even though they
hospital.
lost the game, he's been captain for a long time, been a great player for North Melbourne.
And champion of the game too,
Champion
and someone
of the
that's
game.
beloved by a lot of players. So you hate to see that. It's just a bad way to finish your career.
Just knobs. Just drunk
I
knobs.
wish Glenn Archer was in the vicinity because there's a few ex-players
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Imagine if Archer that had to happen in front of Glenn Archer.
Or Mick Martin.
Or Mick Martin, Arch and Mick Martin
Jeez,
together.
imagine
would have
the
been
old
a bit
boys
of damage
rolling out.
done, I would have thought.
Rolling out the Osborne doors, and they see Jack under the pump. Those two boys just kind of rip open their shirts, just blowing the knuckles.
And I've got
Wondering how
another
this
one
goes.
too.
Yeah.
Glenn Archer.
Yes.
Who was the other one we mentioned?
Martin.
Mick Martin and Alex Ishenko. Remember the big Russian? I saw him at the airport last year. He's the biggest human I've ever seen. He's bigger than John
Now,
Ironmonger.
Broads, in a timely fashion, you mentioned ripping one's shirt. What's that Brisbane dude's name?
Deven Robertson.
Jesus.
Number 2.
Started the game.
So, Beck, our social media expert, can you give us some stats on his Instagram since the world saw his nipples?
So I had a look. Saw a post. Someone said he had 10k initially, and he's boomed up to 40k as of today.
Sex sells.
40, and I'm tipping that most of those 30,000
Yeah.
are women.
Yeah.
That are objectifying poor Deven Robertson. He was just out there trying to play a game of football, win the game and get 4 points, and now he's become a sex symbol.
Yeah.
You can tell he's a Queensland lad.
Yeah,
you
he's
see
good
the
rig.
tan on the shoulders.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Very
can
good
I
that
just
in the
say,
Victorian
He's a
clubs.
good looking
great
rooster.
nipples. Well done.
Bath plugs?
No, mate.
No bath
No,
plugs.
they
I
weren't
reckon-
pizzas. They weren't butt plugs.
We're looking for new followers and listeners, aren't we?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
we
yeah.
are.
I
Always.
reckon we do what Deven Robertson did.
What do you mean?
And we just rip our shirts off mid-podcast
What?
and see if we can sort of get involved a bit.
What are we
Why
doing?
isn't the camera on, Beck?
Beck, are we
Beck,
trying to get followers?
Look at Dog. You're back in shape, brother.
It's official. We've just lost followers.
Look at this.
Hang on.
And
We're,
then you just got to stand on the mark and like give a bit of a like, like, damn it.
we're losing followers. I'm going to get them back.
Whoa!
Oh, the big fella! Oh, the big fella!
There-
I'm going to do what Dev Robinson did and get me a jumper. Throw it away! Throw it away!
Our podcast numbers, they've got to go either up or down after this.
You get a GPS?
There's no way I'm getting my tits out.
Come
Look
on,
at you
Dino,
two.
you've got to.
Look at you two.
Come on, let's do the pipe off.
There we go.
Browny, you have trained off, haven't you? you used to be in such good. Look at you now.
Now, I know that.
What's that bit at the front? What do you call
I
that?
am known as the human Galliano bottle.
Yeah.
But I'm working on it. I'm going back to the gym, Dino. I'm trying to get the shoulders back.
Yeah, this room smells of Old Spice.
How many followers are we up to, Ben?
We've just lost 12,000.
Is it like it's one of those clocks? It just keeps going past the 12.
I must admit,
keeps
I have
clocking.
noticed of late though that the jumper, the actual fibre of the jumper, is easily ripped these days. Back in our day, mate, we never saw jumpers ripped.
No, absolutely
Not
not.
unless you're involved in a proper melee. Maynard just grabbed his jumper and ripped it off quite easily.
That's what I said. They bought them off Wish.com.
And I think that, I think the trainer or the assistant for Brisbane got in trouble. The property steward got in trouble for running on the field with the jumper.
Really?
Yeah,
They're
I
not
think they got
allowed.
fined.
And Devon
what?
avoided him. Like, he ran on to give him the new jumper, and
Yes.
Devon realised that he
Well,
was having a
wouldn't
bit
you
of a moment.
avoid it?
And
You'd
ran
avoid
away
him as
from
well
him.
if you had a rig like that.
Yeah, he wanted to stay out there as long as possible. Friday night football, prime time. Last time I saw that was Bruce Dool. Now, Bruce Dool was very differently built. He was already bald. He had the beard. And he looked like he was, 38 or 39, pre-TikTok and Instagram. But how long, because it was a bit uncomfortable, him not wanting to go to the bench and get the jumper on. How long would you stay out there for without a top on, JB?
With a rig like that all night, brother.
I used to stay out there. I used to always take my jumper off at quarter time and 3/4 time because I used to get hot. And even more so when I actually featured as the centrefold in a men's magazine. And that
Better
was
Homes and Gardens.
similar, not quite, but more of a relationship magazine. I was the centrefold, Dino, and
Yeah.
I took great pride in that.
Yeah, you should.
brother. And
quarter
so-
time and 3/4 time, new jumpers.
new jumpers.
Is that?
Every
Did you have a
single
little
time.
side business where you would sign a Jonathan Brown Max Wants jumper and just hock it off?
There was a little bit of that. Now, there's a man called Dave down in Melbourne. I'm not sure if he's around, but every now and again he'd arrive with a bag full of cash for a couple of worn jumpers.
Beck, can you put the camera on me for a second? And now with your magic, put Devon, what's his name?
Devon Robertson.
Can you put Devon Robinson's body below my head.
Come on, Dino.
Look at this.
1 in all in, Dino.
Look at
Yes.
Come on,
Look
mate.
at me.
1 in all
I
in.
like that, Dino.
Woo! Back in a second, ads.
This is Brownie's Podcast.
Welcome back to Browning's podcast. JB and Dog have their shirts back on, and
Yes.
Brody was like, "Oh, Campbell, it doesn't take much for you to get back in shape, does it?" And you said,
Oh, about 40 k's a week for the last 6 months.
"You've been running a lot, mate."
I have. No, I'm climbing that big mountain in Argentina, Death Mountain, Mount Aconcagua, one of the 7 summits. So
How many deaths there been?
a lot. Yeah,
there?
you walk over bodies, and on the way up. Excellent.
What would you say to death if it came knocking?
They're markers. I'd say not today. You ain't taking the dog today.
He would say, "Did you see what happened to Stephen, mate?" Just keep charging forward. But hopefully you'll be okay. But we're pretty confident in our backups.
Hey,
Hutch
you
has
know
done
I'm a
good
big.
job.
Hey, you know I love shooting guns.
Who doesn't?
Who are we putting? Geelong must get a
Yeah,
bullet
no,
now,
they're
right?
gone. They're gone.
Bang!
Well, there's only 9 teams now.
Rating premiers.
Unfortunately, but GWS and
Crows.
Carlton could play. The Crows are the other one. GWS and Carlton could play each other 2 weeks in a row. There's a very, very real possibility of that. And the Bulldogs could be out. It's just a shocking loss. But they're the team outside the top.
Can we take Adelaide out to the hill and put a bullet in
Oh,
them?
okay, Adelaide. Let's take you out into the valley. Just look over the hills. Yeah. Look over. Go to sleep.
Hang on. We're saying that bullet missed.
All right.
But
yeah.
upon the arc,
Yes.
it actually hit.
They're stiff to be missing, Adelaide.
That's bullshit.
They've had a lot of injuries and they've gone well against good teams. So they're a team to watch next year.
John, it's first-class horse shit what happened to them. And if I was an Adelaide fan, I'd be ropeable. You can't do anything about it.
No, you can't.
At
There's
least
no
the
recourse.
AFL came out and just put their hand up and admitted it, because in the past there've been some controversial calls in games, and they've always backed the umpire
They do,
or backed their people. But I don't think
Now
they
the
have a leg to
umpire's
stand on.
been dropped, though. Remember back in the old days, the umpire would get dropped and they would have to go out to the country. It was a big thing out in the country when you turn and go, "Oh, the AFL umpires or the VFL umpires are umpiring the South Warrnambool versus Koroit today," and you'd all turn up and, mate, they would absolutely cop it because everyone would know, the whole crowd would know that they've been dropped from the top level, so they have to go out in the country
That's
as
amazing.
their penance.
The AFL on this particular occasion were Oscar Pistorius. They didn't have a leg to stand on.
Oh, well.
He doesn't have 2 legs.
Time for...
What a world! Now, I was watching American TV, as I do in my spare time at home, and this
you go
interview
to?
this interview came on, and it caught me by
Are you a
surprise.
CNN man?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Yep. And
Well, and you're not only Fox, you're CNN. You like
Fox,
to stay balanced.
now that Tucker Carlson's left, I don't watch it as much. But
Visit
the
Tucker,
thing
man.
is,
Are you going to visit Donald in jail when the
nah,
bracelet's
he'll
on
get
it?
cleared of all
Sure,
that.
sure.
Racism is absolutely abhorrent. We've spoken about it on this podcast, Dino.
Yes.
There is no place in society for it. But I'm not sure that this is racism.
Okay, quickly, so I misunderstand. Are we saying that 2 + 2, if you say it's 4, that's racist? I mean, that sounds like we may be mischaracterizing it. What, if you can quickly sum it up?
No, that's not mischaracterizing it at all. Math is basically racist under this ideology because it says there is no such thing as an objective reality. So 4 might not be the right number. 2 + 2 might actually equal 5.
What? It blew my mind. But Pythagoras' theorem, I always thought was racist. What a world.
Hey,
Pythagoras, was that his full name? It was just Pythagoras, wasn't it?
degenerates, you take care of yourself.
Look after the degenerates, and shout out to Liam, who saw me on the beach the other day. He was having a surf. He said, "Love the degenerate family."
Hey, by the way, you know how I've got your hand? Because
Yeah.
Jack, again,
Big Jack
failed
Hamilton.
to take it home.
Yeah.
It looks so good in my living room. And if twice in a row he doesn't have the sense to look after it and take it home, I think he can kiss my
It's
ass.
yours.
I think it might be mine.
You
They
can
say
use
that-
it to scratch your ass, Dino.
What are the possessions 9/10 of the law, Dano?
Correct?
Adapt or die, baby. Adapt or die.